tuning in to the online broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads from over 200 countries and your #1 source in after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows. Interviewing celebrities and showrunners. And bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Hello, Doctor Who fans! Welcome back to the Doctor Who After Show here on AFTERBUZZ TV, talking about Season 8, Episode 4. Listen, I'm Matt Lieberman. We got a full house here today. Zach Wilson's here.
Hey, guys.
Liz Rishmawy's here.
What's going on?
Megan Salinas is here.
Everybody.
And Jessie Klein is here.
Hey, everyone.
Yeah! Of course, an episode as good as this one is going to draw out all the fans. We all wanted to talk about it. I'm so glad we have a full room.
He was just trying to prevent physical harm coming to one another's fighting over
right, because there's no reason to fight. And also, as always, if you are watching us live, feel free to tweet at us during the show. We're going to give out our handles right now. I am, of course, as always, at Matt Lieberman, MattLieberman.
You guys catch me? That Zach Wilson, ThatzachWilson.
Catch me at Lizzie Maui, LIZZYMAWY.
You can tweet me at the Menguin. That's TheMenguin.
And I'm at Jess Klein 1, JESSKLEIN 1. The number.
All right. Yeah, so please join in on the conversation. Folks, what a stunner of an episode. Obviously divisive among a lot of people. I feel like there are a lot of people who wanted the initial thrust of the episode, that this creature was a real thing, to continue. I see you brought your Sonic pen.
Always.
Did you rolled it? I thought you wanted me to see it specifically.
Oh, I was like trying to just put it.
Oh, okay. I thought you were drawing attention to it.
It's at the ready.
Yeah, I listened
here.
and I heard it.
I'll put it right
Yeah,
here.
do it right
in my
there,
pocket.
where I don't have to listen to it. I can just see it.
Stretching and not showing off any of it.
Yeah, and you're wearing a TARDIS shirt, top shirt.
But anyway, this episode,
yeah,
I really loved it. I yelled "Whoa!" like 3 times.
right? by the end of it, I'd actually come off of my couch and had started crawling towards the television in the final moments, just so that I could be like right there.
Yeah, man, I was into this episode a lot. I like that we got a scary episode finally.
Yeah.
It felt like a return to form for what Stephen Moffat became known for within Doctor Who.
Yeah.
So, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, it was. I was excited because I thought they were gonna set up like a new scary, like villain creature for the Doctor. And then
I still maintain that they could. I don't think that they ruled it out in this episode.
Yeah, but I also like that we, again, each episode I feel is bringing different personality sides and traits of the Doctor that we haven't yet seen in Capaldi, which I learned the other day. It's actually Capaldi.
Capaldi, yeah.
Yeah, we've been all saying it like he's Italian, like Capaldi, hey! You know?
Capaldi.
It's Capaldi.
Yeah. Well, before we get too deep into it, obviously there is that central question of, is this creature real, or is it just the fear that the Doctor felt as a child when Clara grasped his ankle from under his bed? Which, you know, a few theories were bandied around. One thing is that since Clara was split across the Doctor's entire time stream, it's possible that the fear that he felt in that moment could also have been spread out through time and space, which is why so many people have that nightmare. However, someone tweeted me a very interesting thing from the Doctor Who wiki, which is that Stephen Moffat wrote a short story back in 2007 featuring a monster known as a floof, Floof, from a short story called The Corner of Your Eye, I believe it's called. And in this story, it is a small, bald creature the size of a child that does not want to be seen and potentially has superhuman speed to avoid ever being seen. So even though it's left ambiguous in this episode, he previously set up this creature to exist.
And there was that shot where when they're all in like that orphanage and you see the thing very blurry.
Yeah.
It
looked
does not
bald.
look human.
No.
It looked bald.
No.
Yeah.
But it looked like it had like more of like a squarey kind of head, like almost like a Bart Simpson kind of thing going on.
It was humanoid, but yeah, it definitely didn't look human.
Exactly. Which is why, and also...
And it was gone too soon for it to have been a kid that just ran out of the room.
Right. The other possibility is that it was a physical manifestation of their fear and didn't actually exist, but it's just there to play with us.
Sort of like a Dream Lord situation.
Yeah, maybe, or it's just like...
we would need an explanation for that.
It could just be a visual trick. But the fact is, in Doctor Who extended canon, and since Moffat wrote it, we can probably take it as gospel, this thing does exist.
Yeah.
I would have loved it if that was the central focus of the episode.
So, did it bother you that the episode pivoted focus about halfway through?
I was... Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, sorry. I'm like a camera like while you're talking. Go ahead.
Oh, for me, I really enjoyed this ride. Blink is my favorite episode of Doctor
Yes.
Who. And so for a good portion of this episode, it felt a lot like that episode. And I loved the way they were telling the story. And when the episode was done, I was very engrossed. I was very emotionally fulfilled. And then I started thinking back on it, and I'm like, wait, what was that creature on the bed?
Yeah.
If it was just one of his school chums, that's a weird coincidence. And what was knocking at the door? If it was just noise, and that's a weird coincidence.
And also, why would this kid be quiet throughout this whole time and not freak out that they were friggin' strangers?
No kid would be able to keep a straight face if he was trying to pull a trick on his friend. He'd end up giggling.
Well, we never saw his face.
And also, I don't think Rupert had any friends.
If there's a strange adult yelling at you as a kid, you take off the blanket.
You're like, ah.
But
It's true.
I mean, did this creature have human hands?
We didn't see.
No, I know, but the thing that described it in the wiki, because every single clip from anything grabbing anybody's ankles was always a human hand.
Yeah.
Well, that's what they perceived it to be.
Because
You
it's a
didn't
dream.
know. You feel a hand, just you put in context the only thing that you can imagine. You can't think of anything else that would be a hand that's not human. The same way that they are rationalizing...
If you have cats, you can think of...
But not with a
They
thumb.
don't have thumbs.
They don't have thumbs. They can't grab you.
It's just the same way that they rationalize what was outside the spaceship at the end of the universe. Or the time ship.
On the
whatever.
last planet.
Go ahead.
No.
Well, my big problem is that if all of those things were coincidences, that's not the proper way to move a story along. Because it should be causation, not correlation when it comes to storytelling.
You go ahead.
Oh well, I give Moffat more credit than that, and and because Doctor Who is not a standalone type show, and especially Moffat's run was not an ignoring. That's like running his finger along the desk.
He's flirting with you.
But Moffat doesn't leave things like just drop them and not go back. He loves to go back.
He loves to leave those little pieces and make everything come around full circle.
This was too big a piece to drop and ignore.
Yeah.
Yeah, can we talk about how creepy the TARDIS was in this episode?
Yes.
Like
what with the weird fleshlight thing?
Well, that was really weird.
I love that.
That's where you go.
It was like 3 rows of fleshlight
That's where you
holes
go.
filled with lubricant.
That's where you go.
Yes, that's exactly where I
I
went.
thought it looked like a honeycomb.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Nope, fleshlight.
Way to go.
I really liked it. I mean, we've gone into the idea of the TARDIS as an organic
Yeah.
machine, that's to me that's the evolution of control panels. Is like the buttons and
Vaginas.
levers in the 60s. Like that's the furthest they can. Then you have touch screens and all that.
And then you have orifices.
It just brings a whole new definition to when we had the TARDIS in a human body.
Yeah.
And no.
How do you control a human? Through their orifices.
No, you control them through their heart.
Also, what I was talking about is the last episode, the TARDIS looked real homey.
Yeah.
It was it had these bookshelves and everything like that. And in that episode, just based on the lighting and how they shot it, it looked very lived in and a
very
place
warm.
a place that you'd want to be.
Sterile.
Honestly,
This
the
one looked
warmest it had
creepy.
ever looked.
I would like to answer something. I think a fan tweeted it, but going to Zach had a thing about the TARDIS from last week's episode about how it's so coincidental that those things on the walls look like the round things from the Daleks. But one of the set designers actually said that he used basically the same ones to kind of incorporate what he used for the Daleks to also put into the TARDIS. Yeah. So there's nothing really behind it. It's just
it's not motivated.
It's a design.
But the design of the ship, like, regardless of that, is just, it's so versatile in this form. It's great. I mean, the Doctor comes with his own mood lighting now.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's the thing is, like, it's the exact same set, but just based on how they shot it. And I thought this entire episode was shot beautifully. They really incorporated some fun Hitchcock angles there and like some really cool stuff.
It was really excellent.
It kind of left a sour taste in my mouth, though.
Why?
Because I think it is, if all it was just the Doctor exploring his fears that were nothing, it felt like the wrong way to do that. By making it look like it was something and then saying, oh, it was nothing, by the way, is poor storytelling.
Well, interesting that you bring that up. There was a really great article on IO9 today that was basically... I think we can all stop arguing about Stephen Moffat's Doctor Who at this point, which is a misnomer because people are going to argue about it forever. Anyway, but that basically he has established a certain set of tropes and motifs throughout his work and things that he does and doesn't care about. And one of the things that he really doesn't care about, even if you look at his monster episodes since he took over the show, is villains. He doesn't care about, having a villain that is going to, unleash a twist at the end, and we have to stop it. It's kind of like if you look at the Angels two-parter in season 5, right? By the middle of the second episode, it's no longer really about the Angels at all, but about the crack and about the danger in that.
Sure.
The crack.
Yeah, it's about that rock. And in this episode, he's far more interested in rewriting Doctor Who canon and exploring the Doctor's fear than he is in creating a new villain or having it be responsible for something. I understand your point in that if we were going to explore the Doctor's fear, maybe there's a more linear way to do it. But he also really enjoys these closed-loop time travel stories where by the end of it we realize that we're in the same place we were all along and that the events of the episode caused the episode to happen in the first place.
But with more information than we had, which gives a new light to what we had already experienced.
Yes, but making it just coincidence and people just making jumps, logical jumps, and having the Doctor be so sure that there's something out there and like forcing the audience to take that ride only for it not to exist is, I think, a poor way to get your point across.
I had a question, and I don't know if it's jumping ahead too much but I was watching this with a friend, and he made a comment about how the end part didn't make sense. Like, I thought the Doctor couldn't come and cross into his own timeline.
He didn't.
Because Galifrey... But Galifrey was sealed up in another universe, which was his point. And then I said, well, in the 50th anniversary or the movie, or I confused. Now it's not. Now it's back, and I don't...
Let me clear that up. All right, so first of all, the same question was raised by at Lacey Aisling, who writes, do you think that it was Galifrey that Clara stepped onto at the end of the episode? Now, it's never specifically stated that it is Galifrey, because if we recall from the 50th anniversary special, this is also the place that the Doctor takes the moment to be detonated. So he wouldn't use the moment in a place where he would also be stuck in a time lock.
Okay.
So it's entirely possible that but the moment then also said, your punishment for using me is that you will survive and have to deal with this.
Yeah, because I thought the barn was on Galifrey.
It is probably on Galifrey, but we have to also allow the possibility that there is a secondary, like, breeding or raising planet for young Time Lords. Because everyone we've ever seen on Gallifrey is an adult.
It's like shipping your kid off to boarding school.
But
exactly.
We've seen children on Gallifrey.
There were 2 billion children on Gallifrey,
my
if
mistake.
you recall.
My mistake. I can be wrong.
But if we go back to the movie and we see when he was in the deserty area and he went to that barn, and I really love how they link that in, and she's talking about the fears and you'll be scared when you come back here, and I'm like, how do you know? But it's just like, wasn't he on Galifrey in that scene though? Because that was where he met up with Bad Wolf and.
Right. Well, it was never specifically stated in the 50th anniversary special, but at the beginning of this episode, when the Doctor has her put her hands in the telepathic
honeycomb. It's a honeycomb.
Telepathic honeycomb.
Thank you.
He also says that basically the safety locks on the TARDIS are off, allowing them to A, go to the end of the universe, and B, potentially wind up in the bubble universe that Gallifrey's in, which then raises the question.
Why doesn't he do that anymore?
Here's the thing. I put some thought into this because
Sure.
I had to do a similar thing and explain it to somebody right after. Gallifrey is only popped into the bubble universe. Like in the Russell T Davies era, it's in a time lock, right? So you can't attack. You can't get to it in any time.
Anyway,
but in this version, the time lock is no longer relevant. It's been put into a bubble universe at the moment of the Time War, but pre-Time War,
it was in the universe.
It was in the universe. So that point in time, from before anything before the Time War, is still game in terms of time travel.
So he could go back to Gallifrey pre-Time War
in theory, but the Doctor, it's too dangerous because he has too much invested in that planet, and it would just cause too many paradoxes.
Yeah.
You know
but if he doesn't leave, that's why Clara has to say you cannot go out there. You can't ask about it. You can't look into it.
Do as you're told.
Just do as you're told.
which was awesome.
Yeah, that was a great moment.
And everything will be fine. Because he didn't leave the TARDIS, no paradox.
Can I just say, my brain right now is like the exact replica of the Van Gogh painting of the TARDIS exploding. It's just like,
Do you want it to blow just even a little bit further?
just do it.
Do you remember in season 3 when the Doctor is talking about when he and the Master stared into the untempered schism, and the Master went mad, but the Doctor was scared?
Yeah.
What he saw scared him, and that's why he knew he had to run away. It is in that moment that Clara stumbles onto him. She stumbles onto him in his fear and pain, having looked into the untempered schism, and gives him advice that changes him for the rest of his life.
Fear is a superpower.
Fear is a superpower, and it will always be your companion.
So Clara's the most important character in the Doctor
In the entire Doctor Who canon,
Clara,
essentially.
like twice over now.
Yes.
So I have to rewatch the episode.
So now we have to go back and re-look at companions as... I guess it sort of fits. Every one of them is afraid of something.
Yeah, and I just want to read this tweet real quick before we move on because it's relevant. At Nina Rockert writes, I don't think that there was an enemy at all. It was fear. When we are scared, we see and hear things that don't exist. And during the episode, everything had a logical explanation, but because of fear, we all thought it was something else. Everything except for seeing the damn thing.
Yeah.
On that note, I have a tweet from John Patterson who said, I think the whole point of the episode was it doesn't matter if the thing is real as long as you know it's okay to be afraid of it.
Exactly. And go ahead.
Yeah, I get that's the point of the episode. It still bothers me.
Okay.
Like, it
Well,
still
because
means
you're
it's a zero
expecting
sum.
one story and you get another story.
Well, it's
instead.
not even that. It's just I feel like coincidence is a poor way of making a story. Like
I feel your
I think
pain.
that's a bad way to.
It
write.
also, it feels largely inactive because ultimately nothing comes of it.
Yeah, except for the Doctor. We as an audience get a more interesting look at the Doctor, which I appreciate these episodes where we get to see another onion peel come off the Doctor, and also get to see another layer added to Clara. We get to see, number one, that she's the most important thing in the universe twice now.
There you go, Clara haters.
She's the leaf of
Deal
the
with it.
Doctor.
Yeah, exactly.
Although it was great to get this kind of psychological aspect, but I will say I agree with you with the coincidence bit for storytelling, but I will give this episode so much credit because the dialogue was superb.
It was
Very
just crackling.
It was so
and
good.
Honestly, to me, this is the episode where Capaldi's Doctor crystallized.
Yes.
Where this is him at his finest. The humor on point. Personality
real funny.
very, very
The
clear.
stingy kind of like, brr, like
Yeah.
I'm Scottish.
I
kind
love
of
that
thing.
he has that I have to know.
Yeah.
It was like we were just doing on classics the Daleks, like his first experience with the Daleks, and the whole thing where he's like he has to know even though there's like potential danger on that planet. He's like, I have to know. Screw all you other people. I'm gonna go out there. He's like, Clara, get in the TARDIS. I'm gonna. It was the same basic thing.
She's
like,
like, you're an idiot.
Get in the TARDIS. I'm gonna stay here. I might kill me, but I'm gonna find out what's out there.
I love the continued use of chalkboards. This is
it's so cool.
This is if you look at this Doctor and the 11th Doctor as two different professors. Matt Smith was like the Dead Poets Society. Get on your desks.
my captain.
Yes, oh Captain, my captain. Go live for a day and you'll understand the universe. Kind of a Doctor. And this is turn to page 297. I'm gonna lay some knowledge on you. There's a test on Friday. Suck it, nerds.
But at the same time, you respect that guy because you're like, whoa, that was some deep knowledge.
Whoa,
bro.
he said, suck it, nerds.
Yeah. I love the opening of this episode. Like, just it's a mission statement, like right up top. I also like this alternate Capaldi costume. I like the casual look, the sweater.
Yeah.
It's dope.
At first, I thought he had like holes in his shirt, and I'm like, that's just it's like splatter design.
Speckles.
I love the nursery rhymes in this one.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
so clever.
I also like seeing the Doctor like in between, like just like seeing him in between adventures. Like, what does he do when he's alone?
Yeah.
It's like,
Goes a
oh,
little
he
mad.
goes crazy.
Yeah.
And I like how she's like, looks like your handwriting to me. No, it wasn't there before. You know when it said listen? Are we even interested in like, I mean, we're going to touch on it, but like the whole dating back
Let's
and forth
talk
with
about
Clara.
it. I am interested because this episode basically posited that she and Danny wind up together and have kids who ultimately have kids who grow up to become time travelers.
And have a fro.
Yeah, and have a big ass fro.
Long
And
fro.
identical great
Yeah,
grandchildren.
identical
Why
great
not?
grandchildren somehow.
They should just gotten the guy who played Mickey to come in and like be the
Oh, that would have been sad and nice. Yeah.
He's useless until the end.
Well, so Stephen Moffat, before he ever wrote any science fiction, he created a British sitcom that was very popular called Coupling, which was all about relationships.
Love Coupling.
It's a great show.
It's so good.
And it's great watching this kind of like very, very realistic and awkward exchange between the two, who I felt maybe were a little like too like smooth, fun sitcom, smooth, funny.
Yeah.
You know, like the last time they interacted, and this felt like a real awkward first date between two fractured people. This guy who's incredibly self-conscious, and this girl who, you know, she's
doesn't
very
think before she speaks.
and she just hasn't been on a date in a while. She's got a lot of baggage.
I just
Oh, go ahead.
no, you
Go ahead,
Oh,
Megan.
I was just saying, I'm really getting frustrated with people giving poor Mr. Pink so much crap about being a soldier.
Yeah.
Like, do people really treat soldiers that way these days?
Yeah, they're lady
Yeah.
killers.
yeah.
They're all lady killers.
Can I just say, I'm going to start a drinking game, though, where, like, every time, like, let's have a shot every single time he screws up and slams his head into a table. Like, it's happened at least 3 to 4 times by this point within the last, like, 2 episodes.
Yeah.
Poor guy.
I mean, it's
2.5.
kind of sweet how awkward they are,
Yeah,
but
no,
I
it's very endearing.
But I will say, like, by the end of it, I was kind of just like, I get it, like the sweet banter, like. I don't know.
But you know what? I get what you're saying, but at the same time, it didn't happen so much in the episode. Like, if it did happen, it didn't take up like a huge, like, 7-minute, like, segment of the episode. It was just kind of like, I'm sorry, I know, and then it kind of just went like, and then all of a sudden, boom, she's
and
back
they
in
have
the
good
TARDIS.
chemistry.
They do. And I want to throw something out there that I think is very, very important to how Clara's character has developed and why I think she comes across so great in this episode and really the whole season is, and it comes back to the fact that she's a teacher. In this episode, she has an opportunity to meet 2 men that are very important to her in her life when they're children, and she is able to relate to them better and provide them with care better as children, and then apply those lessons to them in the present.
Yeah, that's true.
Do you think when Orson, and I'm so glad the second time around I watched the subtitles because I watched it the first time, I was like, is his name Awesome? I thought his name was
Awesome Pink.
Awesome Pink.
It
And I was like,
literally says it on the banner. Goodbye, Orson Pink.
I didn't know. I looked away or something at that point. But anyway,
Blinked.
I did. I'm done.
Don't blink.
But anywho, did anybody notice that? Maybe I'm taking it too wrong, but he said, went to her like time travel runs in the family.
Yeah.
And For some reason, I almost thought, I mean, I guess it could just run, he'd be referring to her, but then I wondered if at any point will we have Danny coming on an adventure along
I
the
imagine
TARDIS.
that
Yeah, I
that's
was
gonna
thinking
happen.
that's got to happen.
Yeah, and then also when he drops the soldier and he says it's a family heirloom, and she's like, I can't accept it. He's like, it's a family heirloom.
Yeah.
He's basically, he knows that she's his great grandmother.
But then why? Okay, so at the end of the episode, she gives that to the doctor as a child, but
Yeah.
then it's in the orphanage with the.
No, if you-
that's where it
it was
started.
in the orphanage, and it was passed down to Orson, and
Yeah.
Orson,
But then how does it go back to him if it's back?
That's
It's
in
not-
the future in Clara and Orson's timeline, but it's in the past in the actual timeline.
Yeah. So basically, what we can posit, and also, I never even saw Danny holding, or Rupert holding Dan the Soldier Man before the doctor names it.
Yeah.
No, it was Clara.
It-
She was
Clara
like,
picked
he's
it
the
up.
colonel, he's the
Yeah.
one in
Yeah.
charge.
Okay.
What do you want to name him?
And he said Dan, and
Dan
that's
the
when she
Soldier
was
Man.
like, what?
All right. So what we can imagine is
I don't take enough drugs to keep up with this show.
no.
Really don't.
In the timeline, in the grand timeline of this soldier doll, it is made, it is put in this orphanage. It is passed down through Danny Pink's family to Orson Pink. It is then handed from Clara to the child doctor. But that does not mean that it has to then come all the way back around.
Yeah,
it was
no.
made and then it was in this orphanage.
It has a personal timeline.
Okay.
And
It
it's
has a
probably-
personal timeline.
It's in the
It's
bubble
probably-
universe.
It might be in the bubble universe, or it might be in a drawer in
In
like
the
one of
TARDIS.
the many rooms in the TARDIS.
Exactly.
Oh, that'd be
And then
cool.
Danny's going to find it someday and it's going to freak him out.
He's gonna pull up both, and
Yeah.
then they're gonna meld together and
What?
explode.
Exactly.
Time paradox.
Someone else tweeted something to me that I thought was really, really cool, and it was about the sequence of episodes and why this episode had to happen now. And it's because it's from the Hipster Frog at the Hipster Frog,
Nice.
and he said, "Just realized that the newest episode of
name.
Doctor Who happened because in episode 3, the Doctor realized things thought to be fake could be real, which made him want to solve this mystery." So this fear that he had his entire life that he thought was a dream suddenly came back to the forefront of his mind after he realized that his certain prejudgments that he had made about things that were real and things that
Like
weren't,
Robin Hood?
like Robin Hood, now put this in his mind, which is why he couldn't let go of it in the moment.
Smart frog.
Smart frog.
That makes a lot of sense,
Yeah.
actually, watching and like thinking about the episodes in terms of them being back to back.
Yeah.
I like that for sure. That makes sense. Also, we were talking about the comedy. I loved the 3 mirror callback.
Yeah.
It's like, her eyes are so wide, her face is wide. That's why she needs 3 mirrors.
Yeah. She's like, "Is that what I look like from the back?" He's like, "It's fine." She's like, "I thought I looked pretty good." Yeah.
Why do you need 3? Why don't you just turn your head?
I love the Doctor's just inability to even pretend to compliment her.
I know.
She's so ugly. Oh, you haven't put your makeup on. Yeah, it's still on. Oh, then you must have missed a little bit.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
With some bits.
I love how and even when he's just in her apartment, it's like, oh, you just have to squeeze through. I try to overshoot it, but you just have to kind of squeeze in and
Yeah.
I think that's probably a callback because like I said, we've been doing Classic Who and Hartnell, and the whole reason why they had him traveling with his granddaughter is because they didn't want it to seem like a romantic thing. And I kind of think that that's kind of what they're going for with this one. It's a little bit more like Tennant and Donna and everything like that.
Yeah.
Tennant and Donna.
Which was one of my favorite
I
pairings.
thought there was a little bit of romance between Tennant and Donna.
Well, it was sort of like they'd come closer and then they'd be like,
Yeah. Well, they kept on being like, "We're not together."
Yeah.
Every time people would assume they're together.
It was
they're
the
not.
anti-romance. I
Yeah.
mean, that was all of David Tennant's companions was the stages of a relationship.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
right.
The beat where it's them looking out the window into the blackness, and he's telling them, "Don't look around." And it was because think about something that doesn't want to be seen and hasn't been seen ever, and think how it would react if you saw it.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Super
Yeah,
creepy.
it
That
was
was
very
really
creepy.
cool.
And then it turned out to be nothing.
and then it took
or maybe it did.
Well,
We
it took
don't
his
know.
bedspread.
It took his goddamn bedspread.
He's an orphan.
Which-
He's cold.
I'm just going to throw this out there.
Yeah.
We could be laying track for a season-long arc that this is very much a focal point for.
Yes.
And I want to point out something in particular that most people wouldn't have noticed, and maybe I'm overanalyzing. But when they're at the date, the person who comes up offering them water, the way that it's framed, we don't see them. It's just from like the waist down, and it's just sort of like almost kind of like this very measured voice, like, "Can I get you some water for the table?" And she's like, "No, we're busy."
Yeah.
And he just kind of walks away. And I can't help but wonder if there's something else going on here.
I don't think so. I think you're overanalyzing.
I will
that one.
freak out if there's like a future episode and they're walking around and the bedspread shows up and they're like, how'd that get there? I don't know. I will freak out while I'm watching.
Are you going to scream like a girl?
I will scream like a man, screaming like a girl.
Although it's interesting that you mentioned that this could be laying the groundwork for
love it.
other, for an overarching story for the entire thing, because there's no mention of the Promised Land and there's no sign of Missy in this episode. Neither of those.
And I just want to point out that you bringing that up reminds me of when we had, what's her name? Companion after Donna? No, before Donna.
Before Donna?
Martha?
Martha. Okay. When we had the thing with Martha, and you never pay attention to like there being an election soon, and
Saxon.
Oh, yeah, sure.
and then you get Saxon, and it's all linked together, and you notice little tidbits came in, but no one paid attention to it. And now I'm gonna keep on thinking about the damn water guy.
I'm totally on your page here.
Right?
I'm putting all my chips on that.
This
square.
episode is so carefully directed.
Either that, or the guy who got picked to be the waiter in that scene was just such a huge fan that he was just like, "Can I get you some water?" And they're like, "You know what? Just keep the scene."
Someone won a contest.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if it's worth noting. Like the director Douglas McLennan, he hasn't done any of the big, like arc episodes. Like he did recently. He did a couple in the Tennant era, and then he did Cold War and Power of Three, both standalones. He also directed next week's Time Heist, which looks like a standalone.
Great. Yeah.
I don't
like
know
a
if
good bit of fun.
that should inform it at all, that he hasn't been a part of arcs before.
Well, I'll just throw this out there. An arc got launched that we haven't referenced since in the Power of Three, namely the Shakri, who were supposed to be a fairy tale to young Time Lords, and we met the Doctor as a young Time Lord this week.
That's right.
That's very true.
Yeah, so it's entirely possible that could be coming back. He's a very stylish director. I just want to read a couple more tweets. At Doctor Who at 50, Doctor Who fan writes something in reference to the TARDIS and Galifrey. The TARDIS in past episodes has not been able to go to Galifrey at a point in its past. Therefore, where the Doctor is could not be Galifrey, but another planet.
I think that's still up for debate.
What if what if the Doctor's a kid? What if our TARDIS hasn't been built yet?
I don't know.
Or is off planet because it hasn't been like put in, because it's like decommissioned or something in I think he took it from a museum.
He took it from a museum.
So what if it's off planet at the time? So that moment is not in our TARDIS's history.
And you've lost me.
With everything that happens in the show, like anything could, like you could just throw anything in there to rewrite a rule. I mean, we're technically on Doctor number 13.
Yeah.
Moffat is not shy about letting
it's
go.
always been the case with Doctor Who. Plot will always trump continuity.
Yeah.
So, you can wibbly wobbly timey wimey stuff.
Exactly.
Hand wave.
One more thing that I want to say. What? And now I don't remember. Damn it.
Sorry.
Oh, don't you just...
We're talking about your crazy water guy theory, and then we are on.
And then
Zach went on a tangent about
Gallifrey.
museum built not on Gallifrey.
Wibbly wobbly timey wimey. Dates.
No. Child Doctor with the William Hartnell haircut and the bald spot.
Those
So weird.
That was really weird.
Yeah.
Wait, bald spot?
Yeah,
Did he have a bald
had
spot?
like a whole bald spot and like empty part of his hair where
see
his
a
hair
bald
would have been
spot.
thinning as a child, as an adult. Are you serious?
I didn't see
How could you
that.
miss
I
that?
didn't see that
Brown
either.
hair in little part, and she's rubbing it. I didn't see no bald spot.
There's a spot
You know,
and then
Matt,
a whole
you stare
back
into
of the head.
void and see how your hair looks afterwards.
I'll
Could go white.
Yeah. How about I enter the void? I'll release my earthly tether and become wind. Different show.
You're gonna fart in it?
No,
What does that mean?
it's Legend of Korra.
Oh,
Hello.
Yeah.
I've gotten that.
At JP Drama
For the
Kid
show.
writes, yeah, you should know.
it's hot out. I'm tired.
I agree with you about the waiter. It'd be very Series 5 when the future Doctor talked to Amy in the Angel episode.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
when the Doctor came back around during the Big Bang and talked to Amy and gave her the hint that would eventually have him be brought back to life. Yeah,
But they would have noticed if it was
plot over content.
If it was
It's
the
very
Doctor.
interesting. Stephen Moffat seems to have a motif with bedtime stories because we were talking about it
He's
a lot.
obsessed with them.
Yeah, exactly. And that's sort of what this comes around full circle as too, is a bedtime story for the Doctor.
Yeah, well, he said in the past that Matt Smith's Doctor he created him to be a fairy tale version of the Doctor. So a lot of that went into it, but I don't think he could quite escape that, like, temptation.
What
It's
was
hard
it
to
young
walk away.
Amy called him?
The Raggedy
The
Doctor.
Raggedy Man.
Raggedy Man.
Yeah, Raggedy Man. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was a fairy tale.
He was a fairy
Raggedy
tale.
Man.
Yeah, and now we've got this guy who is very complex and very angry. And what I love about what Clara's doing, and it's kind of in relation to what I was saying earlier about her being kind of matronly, is in some ways she's kind of the Doctor's nanny. Like, he called her his carer, but in a lot of ways she takes care of him. She makes sure that he's emotionally on the right track, and sometimes she gives him orders.
Well, wasn't
Yeah.
it?
And
isn't
sometimes
it,
she smacks him in the face.
Yeah.
And it's great.
Isn't it convenient though that when he first met her, she was like a
nanny.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it kind of loops around in a way.
Almost like it was meant to be done on purpose, which I doubt that was. It was
Giving him so much
done on
credit.
purpose. I'm giving so much credit.
It's like
if
they
that's
have a
true.
TARDIS, they go in future to ask what he's writing about, then goes back in the past to loophole it and say, I thought about it the whole time. It was a 3-year in the making.
So tying this in to the Missy storyline, if Missy is indeed the person who made sure that the Doctor and Clara were brought together, she ensured that the Doctor would meet the person who would teach him about fear.
Yeah.
So who the hell is she?
I don't know. She might not even be a real person.
She put him on his path
She
effectively.
effectively
Yeah.
put him on his path and
So-
has been working to make sure that he is on that path no matter what.
So I guess
she God?
Missy's the most important thing in the universe then.
Yeah.
well,
And then Clara, and then the Doctor.
maybe she's trying to make sure that the Doctor ends up at a certain place at a certain time.
That's a very
Yeah.
plausible scenario. If she is the Ronnie and she's conducting an experiment that requires
crossed.
the Doctor's existence to be a constant, that's why she's placing so much importance on it.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Oh, I like that. I mean, if we put Galifrey in another pocket universe or bubble universe, could it be an experiment as to what happens in a universe without the Doctor? So now we have this universe has the Doctor, the one that Galifrey's in does not. What happens then? It's interesting. I like the idea of a scientist behind all of this.
Do you
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
if
It's
she is
different.
if she is the Ronnie, do you think the Promised Land is Galifrey? Like if she is a Time Lord and
I mean,
But
it
why-
looked nothing like it.
yeah,
though.
but and also
No.
why would people who when they die they got I keep on thinking about the episode. What was it? Episode 2, when the chick was
Vaporized by a Dalek, yeah.
Dalek, and next thing you know, she's having tea.
But we didn't see it happen on screen.
Oh crap! You're right.
We didn't see it happen on screen, so we honestly don't know what happened.
My head hurts.
They specifically made sure that the people that we saw go to the Promised Land, we didn't watch them die.
Oh
We
my
saw
God.
a body impaled, and we saw
From
somebody
afar.
move from inside a Dalek to the Promised Land, but we never saw either one of them die.
Yeah, I feel like it's all been like cyber things that have gone to the Promised Land.
She's the
She
woman in
wasn't.
season
I was gonna
episode
say,
2
wasn't.
No, she was
Yeah.
a human.
But she did not know about it previously.
Yeah.
it wasn't referred to as the Promised
was
Land
referred
in
to as
that-
heaven.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Man, I had a feel like maybe it's a Cyberman plot.
Well, we do know that Cybermen will show up at some point this season. There have been photos
Yeah.
everywhere, so I don't consider that a huge spoiler. I apologize if that is a spoiler to
use
you.
the internet.
Yeah. They've been everywhere. Okay, I'm not
Everywhere.
gonna. I'm not gonna feel bad about
They
this.
retooled them. They're upgraded.
Yeah.
Looking
They have
good.
been
Looking
upgraded.
sharp.
Yay.
Yeah, like the iPhone 6.
Shut up about your iPhone 6.
I Cyberman.
I don't have it yet.
Cyberman 6.
Real quick, because I should have done it 20 minutes ago, I'm just going to quickly mention iTunes. Folks, we really appreciate your support here at AfterBuzz. I say it every week only because it's the truth. The best way that you can support AfterBuzz TV is to go to iTunes, rate and review the shows that you listen to or that you watch on YouTube. It's super helpful for us. It's how we're able to get our sponsors that keep our lights on and our doors open. It's how we get guests on all our shows. And it's how more people are able to find the show and say, you know what, other people trust it. I'm going to download it too. So please continue to give us your feedback. It's really, really helpful. It raises the collective water level of everything here at the network. We appreciate it.
Yeah, and speaking of going forward towards the Cybermen, whatever's at the end of the season, at Lauren, at one Lauren underscore, says, I think Clara visiting Galifrey will have consequences in the final episode.
But that's if it was Galifrey, because we've already been trying to figure out if it was or if it wasn't.
That's intentionally confusing if it's not Galifrey.
Yeah.
I think it's just I never thought for a moment in the 50th that the barn was not on Galifrey.
Yeah.
Okay.
They pretty much make it clear that it is.
Okay.
Because he's like gonna set off a bomb to blow it all up, so it makes sense.
Yeah.
I agree. I do not. I think this episode is laying a lot of groundwork for something that, when we look back, will tie in so much more.
It's going to be really funny if this really is the standalone episode of the season.
It will really upset me if I do not see an orphan bedspread sometime in the future.
Yeah.
2 seasons down the line, there's a red bed.
I'm just gonna throw this on the table. I have to imagine that the Doctor being given an order by anybody to not see something is only going to make him intensely curious as to what that is, in the same fashion that everyone being super secretive around him in season 6 about his death caused him to investigate it that much more intensely. So I have to imagine he's going to find out at some point.
It depends because on the one hand, absolutely, he doesn't like secrets being kept from him because he does have that burning knowledge to know. On the other hand, I think he trusts his companions.
Yeah.
And if somebody tells him, not to do something, do as you're told in this particular case, I think he'd be willing to listen.
Yeah.
I agree with her. I think that in this particular situation and the way they ended the episode, and it kind of just made him come to a realization about a memory he had, and he linked it together that it was Clara all along. Like, I don't see a reason for him to go back to figure it out because he would have remembered it.
I think that the idea of time rewrites itself. Time fixes itself. It is very much at play here, especially just the whole thing with Clara. And this is like a crazy, wild, connecting dots in ways that maybe they were not meant to be connected. But if the Doctor has this nightmare about this thing, if we treat it as, we imagine that it is a monster, that there is a monster under the bed. If the Doctor going back and investigating it causes them to back off of him across all time, because whenever he caused them to back off, time fixed itself by putting Clara into his timeline to be the person under the bed. Setting that fear in motion, because it has to fix itself. He has to be started on that path.
So time itself is like, she needs to be here.
Yeah, which is the TARDIS.
That's true. She does take him where he needs
So
to go.
you're saying that because he got too close to discovering them, and they are the best hiders in the universe, they backed off from him in all space and time, requiring time to write in a reason for him to be afraid.
Right, and someone.
Well, when you say it like that,
Yeah, I mean, no, I'm just clarifying.
Yes, that's
Clara?
Clarifying.
That's the theory I'm putting on the table. I'm not 100. I can't go 100% behind it because it's a huge swing. Matt's still reeling from saying clarify.
Anyone who has watched a panel with me and Stephen Lemieux knows how I feel about mid-show puns.
Come on.
Yeah.
It's like last week when I was like, wouldn't you? Yeah, no, come on.
It is like last week when you said that. You're right.
Same reaction. Exact same reaction. Yeah.
See, when people boo, or when people do puns on other panels that I'm on, I just boo. Boo.
All right. Any other closing thoughts before we get into more intense predictions?
Well, it's just a spare thought that I had while watching this episode, and because I was playing with my screwdriver earlier. Do you think the Doctor's gonna get a new screwdriver?
Yeah.
No.
I guess he has used
The
it.
color's a little different. It's
No,
less
it's the
bright.
same one.
It's less bright. The
No.
color.
Regardless.
You're colorblind.
From I can only
Sorry.
Purely from a BBC marketing department standpoint and licensed product part, I'm
He's gotta get
surprised
one.
they haven't already given him a new.
All I will say
thing.
is there have been 4 doctors in this new version of Doctor Who. First one got a screwdriver, second one didn't. Third one got a screwdriver, fourth one didn't.
Wait.
Okay?
Wait.
Yeah.
Tennant got a new
No,
one.
he didn't.
No, he didn't.
Tennant was the old one.
He had Christopher Eccleston.
Okay, and then Matt Smith
Matt
got a
Smith
new
got
one.
a new one
was-
because
and
the
then-
old one shorted
That
out.
was
Yeah.
before they sold like 300,000 of these.
Yeah, I know, but I can't help
Also-
but feel that
I
he'll
have the
get a
blue
new
one.
that he'll get a new screwdriver when there's a new showrunner.
William Hurt had a new
The red one.
John
red
Hurt.
one. John Hurt.
Yeah,
Yeah, John Hurt.
John
Not
Hurt.
William
That's 'cause
Hurt.
I would
was the
totally love to
war
see
doctor.
William
I
Hurt
would
on
love to
this
see
show.
William Hurt in this show as well. I just realized
Just playing
my
his character from A History of Violence.
yeah. I just realized my misnaming
Your faux pas.
my folks' paws, and I loved it. I want it to be William Hurt now.
All right. So let's get into predictions.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV.
I apologize, folks, if you wanted a longer chat on this episode, but there are other shows that need tape here, and we're low on time.
And my brain hurts. from all
Yeah.
the theories.
Yes, from all the theorizing.
It's like 108 degrees right now where we're recording, so like it's just our brains are just focusing on living.
Yeah.
This episode is also just a total like mind.
Yeah.
Screw.
Mind screw.
Yeah.
That's the good way to go.
All right. So next week, Time Heist. Looks
Yes.
cool and fun and hip.
And
I'm
there's
hoping for Oceans, a billion.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oceans Infinite.
Infinity.
I
Yeah.
just said that before. And I like the thing. It's like I'm like, what is that? General Akbar? Like
Admiral
welcome to-
Akbar?
Admiral. I meant that. I'm tired.
Well, no,
see,
it's
I
in,
thought
no,
it
it's
was
in
a
time. It's
Minotaur at
before he
first.
got before he got promoted.
Yeah. Back when he was just a low-life criminal on Mon Calamari. Yeah.
He just like goes to them when they're about to break it and just says it's a trap, and then it's all a trap. And
I mean, if
crap
someone
happens.
utters "it's a trap" next week, I might piss myself laughing. But it looks fun.
yeah.
Where's the van? The van was supposed to be here.
And
Yeah.
I love. I don't know what it is. Like I love how there's going to be like a bunch of like mystery behind who's who, because we see that scene where someone touches Clara and then they like morph into Clara.
Yeah.
And you know.
It's probably some kind of shape-changing disguise to sneak into the time heist.
It's an Andalite.
What?
Sure.
And-
Did you just make an Animorphs reference?
oh, brother.
Dude, it had eyes like an Andalite
Sorry,
would
that
have.
was the sound of my 90s nostalgia bug.
I didn't read Animorphs. No.
you didn't even watch the show.
You didn't even
No.
look
Really
at the
bad
pages.
show?
Like, you didn't even have to read
An
Animorphs. You
Andalite-
could just like pick up the book and flip through the pictures
No,
and see them change.
I'm all good.
An Andalite is a
sucked.
being. It has blue. It's blue. It looks like a
Got little-
centaur. It
Oh,
has
it's
a
the blue
scorpion
guy.
tail.
See?
It has
You know it.
eyes.
I know the
and
pictures from the cover.
There you
When
go.
the point is when it touches somebody, it absorbs their DNA and then can morph into them at
Got
will.
it. Okay,
So
fine.
It is an Andalite.
No,
Oh my God.
it's not an Andalite.
Finally, the crossover no one asked for.
I did.
It's Mystique.
Well, actually, Doctor Who, just the last couple years, has like. Oh, there are certain episodes of Doctor Who that are oddly reminiscent of a lot of the shows that I used to watch as a child. Like, I saw this on Are You Afraid of the Dark? I saw this on Goosebumps. I've seen this before on this and this and this. And so I wouldn't rule out Andalites.
Okay. Just a quick question, throwing it out there. There's a woman in that preview. Do we know her? Or does she
know,
just look
so.
like a cross between Madame Kavarian and Missy?
She kind of reminds me of. It's not. I don't think it is the woman from Adipose, the Adipose episode.
Maybe.
A little bit. She's very
But she
dressed
died.
similar.
Yeah,
yeah.
No, I'm not saying it's the same
Right.
person. It just
Stephen
reminds. I think
Moffat
that's
has
where
a
you're
thing
thinking.
for severe black-haired women in all black.
Did that woman have any water with her?
No.
Do we think it's?
It's not. No, that was a man.
Wait, what are we talking about?
The waiter who offered the
Took me
water.
a second.
Yeah. Funny.
Oh, gosh.
Now we're
Any
gonna be
other-
looking for anyone
yeah.
carrying a pitcher of
know,
water.
right?
I'm gonna go over every Doctor Who episode ever
Okay.
and look for someone
Blankets
carrying
and
water.
water.
Blankets,
All right.
water.
I don't want to throw this out there as a prediction, but I would love for the next episode to have the same kind of tone as
Yeah.
the Robin Hood episode. We've got to pull a heist and to make it really fun and really silly.
Yeah.
After this week's heavy episode, it'd be nice to get some more levity
Exactly.
on the show. All right, I'm going to wrap it up here. Thank you guys so much for watching. Zach Wilson, where can the people find you?
Thanks for geeking out with us today, you guys. You catch me on Twitter and Instagram at @ZachWilson, ThatzachWilson, and also here at AfterBuzz. This week on Doctor Who Classics, we're going to be doing The Edge of Darkness, 2-part special from way back in 1964. You can also catch me on this fall, Grimm, Resurrection, so many other panels. You can check it out.
All right, Liz Rishmawy.
Oh, you didn't call me Lizzie Maui this time. Hey guys, you can catch me on Instagram and Twitter at Lizzie Maui, Lizzy Mawy. You can also find me on the Sword Art Online panel on Sundays with my buddy Megan here.
Yo.
And we're actually going to be restarting The Legend of Korra in October. So check it out and look for me haggling for another spot on this show. So.
All right, great. Megan.
I'm Megan. You can follow me on Twitter at the Menguin. That's TAGMENGUI. And I'm on Attack on Titan, Sword Art Online, Z Nation, occasionally here, occasionally Classic Who.
And Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is coming back, which you're doing with me.
Excited.
Yeah. Jessie Klein.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at JessKlein1. First Sunday of every month, you can find me at the iOS main stage with Matt, with our team DJ Fawcett. I'm not doing any shows right now except for this one, so I'm sorry.
Catch him on. He's living on the couch right now.
Good, apologize. You can find me on Twitter at Matt Lieberman, MattLieberman. You can also find all of my videos for SourceFed and SourceFed Nerd on our channels on YouTube. And you can find me here doing Ray Donovan, Under the Dome, The Strain, The Nick, Sons of Anarchy, bunch of other good stuff.
Sleepy Hollow.
Sleepy Hollow coming back,
Yeah,
Agents
that'll
of
be
S.H.I.E.L.D.
fun.
coming back. Thank you all so much. See you next week.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.